Hey everyone, this is Chris and Sandy Bent with the Chris and Sandy Show. We get up close and personal with some amazing guests throughout the entertainment industry. And today, like I said on every episode, we have a great one for you. Who do we have?
We have Chelsey James with us today. She's redefining the norm for women in country and unapologetically bold in her songwriting and performing. Her signature country sound is laced with a rock edge supported by her powerhouse vocals.
And a little side note, she's been on our show before,
Yes.
but it got cut short because she was in a parking lot on an interview and got ran off from whoever runs that parking lot. So
we remember that vividly.
So welcome to the show.
Welcome back.
Thank you. Yes, that was an awkward encounter. So I'm glad to be doing this at home where hopefully nobody will kick me out of my own living room. So
yeah, I wonder if they've ever had interviews where people got robbed.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Can you imagine being
crazy?
A robber breaks in the house and all of a sudden he's on live on Facebook.
I'm sure that's happened before. Actually, you know what? I think I saw a video on TikTok going around. This girl was like filming workout videos in her house and someone broke in. I mean,
wow.
I'm sure it's happened many times.
Yes.
So, talking about TikTok and all that and social media, this past year has been rough on everybody. With COVID and all that. So how did COVID affect you and what have you done to kind of maneuver through this?
Yes. So at the beginning of COVID, I was considering a career change.
Wow.
Not seriously. I would never do that. But it was kind of a shock because at first we all thought, oh, this is going to last a couple weeks. And then, quickly we all realized that this was going to be a long process.
Right.
And I kind of had to shift my brain and shift gears and focus on other parts of the business that, I hadn't as much before. So, it was kind of a blessing in disguise, I guess, or at least, there's a silver lining, but I was able to write a lot of music, that we couldn't play shows, playing live shows and traveling and touring, that takes up a lot of time, which I was so bored. I have all this time and my husband was working from home. So it was just us two in the house.
Oh, wow.
I'm going crazy, but I was able to do Zoom writing sessions. So I also focused heavily on my online presence, which definitely needed some work. I mean, I am not by any means a social media guru or a technology person. So it gave me a lot of time to kind of build that up and focus on that, which is great because now that things have opened up a little bit more, it's, I have all of this music to put out along with, playing them at live shows for everybody. And I do have a better online presence and connection there with fans. So it's made things easier as far as, booking tours and everything like that. So, something good did come out of it, but yeah.
I mean, that's like with our show, we launched January 2020, a couple months before COVID, and and we had no idea the timing, the great timing we had because
we didn't know then.
The original plan was to interview maybe 100 people first year. We thought if we could do that, be a great foundation for first year. And then COVID happens, and we're watching as all the artists are being shut down, and they got nothing else to do. And I'm like, you know what? Forget the 100 interviews. Let's just, this is our silver lining. A show that's brand new probably could get artists that we normally couldn't get, because of COVID. So we reached out to everybody, and we did over 300 interviews last year, and we're at almost 450 interviews now.
Oh my gosh, you guys, that's awesome. Yeah, it's amazing how everyone just kind of had to adapt. And now I feel like the world has changed forever because of it. There's so many live stream events now. Like Carrie Underwood did her big Easter live stream, maybe from the Ryman this year. Maybe she wouldn't have done that if it weren't for COVID. I mean, I feel like the world is just changed forever. So
I think the future with music will be where you'll still have your shows, live shows, and you'll live stream it also. And that'll give the up and coming country artists and other artists and all that another revenue stream. Because,
Yes.
as an up and coming artist, that's the tough part, is where your money comes from, because with all the streaming services, you don't get money there, especially as a smaller artist, So it's like you have to get it from touring and all that. So now you can still tour, but now you can add that other revenue streamers. Hey, for $5, you can participate in our show too.
Yes, exactly. And you know what? I've said this before in an interview. I think COVID it couldn't level it 100%, but I seriously think it leveled the playing field a little bit in the music industry, because you saw TikTok, become huge, and people, people who, like you said, they don't have the budget, they don't have the money to go out on a tour. But they were discovered from TikTok and social media.
It's happening over and over.
Because nobody was touring. So we were all competing online, and it's crazy. And I can see now, I think everyone had the same idea as me as far as like using last year to write, because I feel like there's so much music coming out right now, which I'm not complaining. So
yeah, because that's the thing, is you can only imagine all the songs that's going to come out over the next 2-3 years from in the middle of this.
Yes, that were written in the time period.
So what are some hobbies you like to do outside of music?
So I am big into fitness. That's one thing for me. I love working out. We have like a gym. I live out in the middle of nowhere. I live in a little town. I live in a little town called Seymour, Missouri, and it's Amish country basically. So there's really nothing out here. So I have like a gym set up in my garage. I do have a trainer that I meet with once a week. I love fitness and working out, and I live on a farm too, so we've got horses and cows and our dogs, so we're constantly doing something on the farm, outside fishing, riding 4-wheelers. I'm super outdoorsy. I'm not much of a hunter, but I do go and sit with my husband sometimes in the stand just to watch.
What's he think of all this?
Do what?
What's he think of all this?
Well, he is the one, really, honestly, through COVID, I was having such a hard time because I feel like I was kind of just getting the ball really rolling in my career right before that. So I was having a really hard time mentally, and during COVID, just feeling like I took 5 huge steps backwards.
Wow.
And, he was really the one pushing me, saying, you weren't given this gift for no reason. You're so good. You need to continue to do this. Don't give up. He's at every show he can be at. Sometimes he's even my sound man. If you see him, he learned how to run sound so that he can do that for my shows. And
hey, when you get big enough, maybe you can hire him on to be that.
Yeah.
I know. Sometimes he's selling my t-shirts. He does a little bit of everything, but he's super supportive. And actually, that's I don't know if you were ready to jump to this yet, but while we were on the subject, because it's kind of perfect, I wrote my new single Steady about about a lot of things about him, but specifically the idea kind of came during the pandemic.
Wow.
Wow.
So that's kind of where that song came from. So
wow, awesome. I love that. Again, with us being a husband and wife, we love when we hear stories where the husband and wife are a team. Because when you look at the world out there, you just don't find that too often. But in the music and entertainment arena, you actually find that more than you ever find it with anything.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of, I was listening to a podcast recently. It might've been Caroline Hobbies. I can't remember which episode it was or who was on it, but they were talking about how they love that country music, especially, there's this culture of, being proud of your spouse. And that, like, I think they said, like their example was, Florida Georgia Line and Dan and Shay, and they show off their wives so much, and and Brittany. I mean, all these people, like, I feel like in other genres, that's not always the case. Like the relationships and the marriages are all like, it's not part of the brand, you know?
Yes.
I think that in country music, that's a really cool thing. And
the sad part is it could be, you know, the sad part is that other genres, it could be part of the brand. I think that I actually don't think it would hurt the brand. I think it would enhance the brand if they would do that.
Yeah, I agree. I think for musicians, and I don't know that I would say it's always been like this, but I feel like now I think social media has changed this because you can look into people's real lives depending on what they choose to share. And I think, you know, authenticity is a huge thing to people nowadays. And I think that only helps. Like if you're showing those parts of your life, your family, your spouse, your kids. And I think that's what people connect to because that's real life, you know?
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, that's like when we interviewed Brian Luttrell from the Backstreet Boys. He was talking about when him and Leanne first was getting married. They had to hide everything.
Oh yeah, she was like, they were told that there could be no girlfriends and no wives known about.
And they had death threats and all that back then. Because you know how it is. The boy bands come out, and boy, those girls go crazy.
Yeah, and they wanted to keep that image of, you know, I think, but I do think that at least in the country world, that has changed for the better, for sure.
Exactly.
We love seeing that out there.
So, you know, a lot of artists, they've known for years that they wanted to do music. But when did it click that this could actually be a career move for you?
So my story is very, I think everyone's story is unique. However, mine is just so random. That's just how I describe it. So random how I fell into music because, you know, I did not grow up playing an instrument, like didn't grow up singing. It's so funny now looking back because I should have just done it, but I didn't even try out for choir in school because I thought that I wouldn't make it. Like I didn't see myself as a singer or anything. I grew up listening to country music. I loved singing like to myself in the car, in the shower, wherever, you know, privately. But I never knew, like, oh, I can sing well. I thought everyone could sing on key. I thought that was I thought that was a normal thing. So, you know, I was in college and I was singing to the radio one night with some friends were around. I was just kind of singing to myself and they overheard me and they were like, oh my gosh, you're really good. And long story short, they dragged me to all the karaoke bars in town. And, you know, I did not know how to perform. Like that was not something I was comfortable with.
See, that wasn't fair. You know, all the people that had to get up to do karaoke. Karaoke is supposed to be a place where you can make a fool out of yourself. Well, that wasn't fair.
You know, to this day, my friends will not go to karaoke with me. And I'm like, I just want to go have fun. And they're like, but we can't sing with you. I'm like, So, you know, so I did that. I got comfortable or more comfortable singing kind of on a stage, doing karaoke. My senior year of college, I joined a cover band and we just did country covers. I did a lot of Carrie Underwood, Miranda Lambert. And so we had this show booked. We booked our first show in Springfield where I went to college. And I like peek out right before we go on stage. I'm expecting 10 people in the crowd, you know, like parents basically. And I peek out behind the stage and it's full. I mean, full. And I'm like, oh crap. I did not physically think that I could step on that stage. I was so nervous. Like I just wasn't even a functioning human. I was so nervous. And I remember telling myself, literally, I said, okay, after this, I just have to get through this and then I never have to do this again. Like, and clearly that didn't end up happening, but I did So I started singing, and it sounds so cliche and cheesy, but it's 100% true. 30 seconds into the first song, something just clicked, and I just was in love with it. Like, I don't know. It was just God telling me, like,
this
okay,
is it.
you haven't been listening. Like, this is what you're supposed to do. The end. And from then on, I loved it. You know, obviously it took me getting more experience to get figure out my style, get more comfortable on stage. But I mean, I've been addicted to being on stage ever since that day.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And we really get what you're coming from, because I remember January of 2020, when we launched the show. I remember, we did the first episode, and it was Ashlyn Grace and Ava Page. And I remember getting off of there, and I told Sandy, this is it. This is what we're supposed to do. I just knew it, right? Now, granted, we did a few interviews back years ago, back in 2014. We even got to interview Chelsey Ballerini back then.
Era.
But we did a few back then, but they weren't like the show style. It was just interview, and then I typed it all up and posted it and stuff.
Yeah.
Interview.
Yeah.
And I hated the typing part. Oh God, trying to transcribe all that. I hated that. They just didn't have the technology like they have now for back then. But now it was like we got off that episode, and it was like I was in a zone during it. And it's like I could be as nerdy. Sandy will tell you, before every interview, no matter who it is, about an hour before, I start feeling a little sick. Sometimes I pace back and forth. I get really nervous because we're live. Anything can happen. Technology could go.
Yes.
I don't have control over every aspect, but I get nervous. But I just have to keep saying to myself, my line is trust the conversation.
Oh yes, I love that, and we definitely have similar, like with the whole performing live, working live, that whole thing. I do. You get more comfortable being uncomfortable, I think. Eventually. And at the end of the day, I finally realized everyone's human, and if you mess something up, it's not the end of the world. If you make it super awkward, the crowd or whoever's there is going to feel that, and they're going to be awkward.
Oh, yes.
If you just own it, and like if I mess up on stage, I usually joke about it, and then it's fine. And they feel.
And sometimes you can just skip over it, and they won't never know anyway.
Yeah. Oh, there's times I've like sung a verse for all of the verses because I forget the words, and like nobody knows. But yeah, we're all human, and I feel like when you're genuine about it, it makes them feel more comfortable too. And
now, when you get to Carrie Underwood's level, you can just, if you forget the words, because even they forget it sometimes, you can just hold the mic out. So because again, the fans will love that, and they would never know you forgot the words.
I know. I'm like, there have been times that I'll never forget this. I was singing Fancy by Reba. Song sang a million times. And I forgot the words to the beginning of the song. So my band was just playing the intro over and over. And I'm looking around, and I'm like, it's not going to come to me. So I'm like, can someone give me the lyrics? And the crowd shouted it out to me, and it ended up being hilarious, and it was fine. But I just needed like the first two words, and I had it. But I'm telling you, there's no way to control it, because like I said, I can mess up. I can forget the words of a song I've sang a million times. The brain is an interesting mechanism.
Yes.
I mean, even with our show, there's certain things I ask and say the same way every time. And I've said it 400 or 500 times now. And it's like sometimes I'm going in my little zone, and then my brain just says, I stop.
Yeah.
And it's like, I pause. And sometimes I can play it off by asking something else, and I'll remember back. Then other times I'm just like, I just had a brain freeze.
Yeah, I know. It happens to everyone. I mean, I think it was Brad Paisley. He came to Springfield one year, and I went and saw him. He forgot the words to his own song, but yeah, I feel like most of the time it's no big deal. The thing that I always think about is when they're doing these live like awards shows, and they're, you know, millions of people are watching. That would terrify me. That would make me a little more nervous, but somehow they never mess up on those. Are they actually live? I wonder.
Right.
Well, you know, a lot of things are lip syncing. You know, you just don't know it. You know, then again, there's a lot of live. So, you know, you just never know. Okay, are they lip syncing or are they live?
Yeah,
for sure.
So, as you know, a lot of people, they see the glory behind your Blake Sheltons, your Mirandas, your Carrie, but they don't see the grind, the sacrifice, the tears, the struggles that it takes, not just to get to their level, but even a career level within music. And I always want to talk about that because I think a lot of people miss that. They're like, I got the talent, I can make it. But it's talent, timing, and a little luck. We all know that. So let's talk about the sacrifice and struggle side, you know, and you being married, there's an extra sacrifice there. So let's go there a little bit.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. This is the part that I could talk about for hours. Yes. So, you know, everyone does sacrifice and everyone has different kinds of sacrifices. For me, I think, and just like you said, you know, you think, oh, I'm good, I'm talented, I can make it. You quickly realize when you get into the music industry and you go to Nashville and you hear the stories, like, talent is not the key to success, unfortunately. Like, it's, you know, and just think about, for example, all of the stars who are huge nowadays that didn't even make it past the first rounds of American Idol. Shoot,
Well,
I didn't make it past the
Lauren Daigle. I just seen an article about her being on the American Idol stage where they rejected her at 17 years old.
I mean, it happens so much, and people are constantly like, why don't you go on American Idol? I'm like, I tried out, I didn't make it. Like, I've tried, you know, which they are TV shows. They're looking for a specific story.
Yeah, they got different storylines for different people. Right. And if they already got your story through someone else, then you're not going to be picked.
Yeah. And I think this is true probably, I mean, for any dream anyone's following, but, you know, specifically for the music industry, I learned very quickly how much time and effort you have to put into it just to even be in the ballpark. Like, I mean, it is crazy. It's so competitive. One thing I also did learn quickly is, you know, if you try to follow some trend, you're just going to get lost. I mean, you're lost in a huge pile of all the other artists trying to chase a trend. So, you know, I learned quickly that being yourself is definitely a must in this industry, because that's what, at the end of the day, will make you stand out.
Isn't it crazy that that's what makes you stand out? Just be yourself.
I know. Yeah. And for me, I think sacrifice-wise, you know, part of my struggle through the pandemic was just like every other musician's, you know, I wasn't making very much, if any, money off of music. And I mean, obviously, like you said, we don't make money from streaming at this level, and we make money from playing shows. And when you don't get to do that, it's scary. It's like,
that's really tough.
What am I going to do? But so it was partly just that, not getting to do it. And the other part that I just kind of realized was, you know, this industry and this career, nothing is guaranteed. Your pay month to month is never guaranteed. Shows can be canceled. Things can happen. I mean, you just never know. And I see a lot of my friends excelling in their careers right now. You know, I'm 28. So I'm at that age where everyone's kind of starting to settle into their career field a little bit more and, climbing up the ladder, and just kind of knowing, here's what my life is going to look like in 6 months,
Exactly.
this is what it's gonna be. This is my salary. This is what I do every day. Here I am.
But you'd be bored with that.
What?
But you'd be bored with that.
Yeah, exactly. That was my whole
That's
problem.
tough.
I was, when I started, there have been times that I've questioned, should I be doing this? But I can never quit. Like, there's just something that has never let me. I just love it too much. And at the end of the day, even if everything else went away, it's like being on stage, singing for whatever it is, 1, 2, 10,000 people, like that at the end of the day is what I love to do. And I understand that there's other stuff that goes along with that I have to do. But, I do think about that. It's hard sometimes seeing all of my friends and people my age, like their lives seem so settled, I guess, in their careers. And the music industry is so crazy. And, there's disappointments every other day. It's like, I feel like there's 10 disappointments to 1 success.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's this constant struggle of, okay, 1 foot in front of the other, even though this sucks right now, and it's very scary, especially as I'm a very type A person. Mm-hmm. So I need to have my life planned out perfectly.
And you can't with this.
And it's very scary. And I've had to accept that that's just not how this industry is. So I think for me, just my biggest sacrifice has been giving up control. I feel like there are things that I can control, and that's what I focus on. Like, I can control, and I'm thankful that I can, what music I put out, what I want my photos for the song to look like, where I want to play shows, as an independent artist, I'm able to do that, which I love. But on the other hand, success is never guaranteed. I could tell you, yeah, my goal is to play at the Grand Ole Opry one day, but I mean, truthfully, that could never happen. It's like, I don't know, but so it's just,
But you got to have the goals there because, like they say, you shoot for the moon and you'll land among the stars, at least. Because again, there are a lot of people in life and, and nothing wrong with a 9 to 5 if that's what they want. But there's a lot of people that I see on Facebook, they are completely miserable with their job. They're not doing what they feel called to do. They know, most people kind of know what they're supposed to be doing, but they don't want to take the risk. Like even with us, I mean, I just turned 50, and like we watch people, because when you're in your 50s, that's when the money really starts coming in for most people, and they're settled. Their kids are kind of off to college. We got a 2-year-old and a 9-year-old, and so I'm 50, and we watch all these people. And it's like they're growing, and we're just,
they have their retirement plan.
We don't have no retirement or nothing, so we're trying to grow this show, and we're betting everything on this passion that we have. But at the same time, we've also talked about what if it doesn't work? Can we live with if we gave it our all 5 years down the road and it didn't work? We can live with that, but we can't live with quitting too early.
Yes, that is the biggest thing. You guys, I mean, you hit the nail on the head. The what if, like on the other side, the what if I quit and got some 9 to 5 job, because that's what is easier.
Yeah.
The rest of my life, I would wonder what could have happened. And I think that's always what I go back to on those days that are really frustrating. I think, okay, so yeah, let's quit and let's get some regular job. And then a year from now, think, wow, where could I have been right now if I just had kept working another year? And that is sometimes what keeps me going. And it is terrifying sometimes. There is no security to it. There's no security, but the best things in life
aren't easy.
On the other side of fear. I think that's a quote. I did not just make that up. That's a quote.
And speaking of fear, I read that you just conquered a fear with heights.
Oh my gosh. I think there will be video of this coming out sometime soon. Oh, wow. Okay. Yes, let's talk about that. So the music video for my new song Steady, I filmed this summer. And my video producer, he told me there's this great rock formation out in the middle. It's like almost to Colorado, out in Kansas.
Oh, wow.
And he showed me pictures. I'm like, oh, this is great. He's like, yeah, people visit it all the time. And he's like, we could go up here. And he's like, there's like trails. He said trails. Okay. There's trails to get up to the top. And I'm like, great. So I show up and they're like, okay, we're going to show you. I get there and these rocks are like 200 feet tall. So I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking, where are these trails? Because they must be in the back or something. And they're like, we're going to show you how we get up to the top. I'm like, okay, great. So they take me up to this little, it's like there's two massive rocks here together. And there's a skinny little, like, I don't know what you'd call it. I wouldn't call it a trail. It's basically straight up and down, and it's just a little space that you can climb up. But you have to Spider-Man. You have to Spider-Man climb up the walls.
Oh wow!
Gosh. Oh wow!
And I'm like, I flat out said I'm terrified of heights. Like I can't go on a Ferris wheel. So I can barely climb a ladder. In fact, it's that. So I told my producer, I was like, I can't do this. I physically cannot do this. And he's like, you just drove 8 hours to do this. So you're going to have to figure it out. Long story short, after some breakdowns, one guy got in front of me and the other camera guy got behind because I'm like, if I fall, you have to catch me. And I went up and so then when you get to the top, it's the rocks, they're like this. So when you get to the top, on the other side, it just drops straight down 150.
Oh, wow.
So when you get to the top, you're looking straight down 150 feet and you have to step onto this little sliver up onto the top of the rock. So I'm like, I'm just shaking like this. I'm like, I can't do it. He just grabs my arm from the top. He was already up there. He just grabs my arm and pulls me. I didn't even have time.
Wow.
And I get up there.
You got time to think.
Oh, yeah. Just get you up there. Yep.
And I got up there. And it was so worth it. I mean, it was so worth it because the shots were beautiful. Just being up there was beautiful. I could see for hundreds of miles and it turned out perfectly. And, we wanted to do that because the rock formations kind of the imagery of that with steady. That's what we really wanted. So it was so worth it. But yeah.
And it took a team for you to go up, just like it takes a team for you to build your career. And in our opinion, teams never get the love they deserve. Don't. So in our show, they do. So if you want to take a few moments, tell us about the team that helps you be who you are.
So I have my team in Nashville, and it's Burning Ground Entertainment and Core PR.
Core is awesome.
Yeah. Anna over at Core, Dawn, and Kerrigan at Burning Ground. Oh my gosh, they have absolutely changed my life. The music business, you have to have a musical ability, but then there's the business side of it. And it's different from many other industries. It's hard to navigate. You don't know where to, you can waste your time on so many things, waste your time and money on so many things. And they have introduced me to so many people. I was able to just play my first whiskey jam a couple weeks ago because of them. I mean, all of this is because of them. They know what they're doing and they can take what I create and turn it into success.
Make it a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Yes, and they know the trends. They're on top of where the industry is going. I mean, they're just like my roadmap, really. And besides that, I've got my team here at home, which is my husband, Lucas, obviously, and my parents, who, I mean, without them, especially, I wouldn't be doing this, because like I said, there have been times that family and friends have been the ones to push me through those hard times when I wanted to give up. So
Yeah, wow.
Yes.
Speaking of family and also teams.
And teams.
We have a third co-host, our little 9-year-old.
We do.
So Sandy's going to go get him real quick. And we've got a 2-year-old daughter that when she gets older, she'll be plugged into the show too. She don't know it yet, but she's going to be a star.
Start practicing her interview questions now.
Yep. And she's always trying to be the center of attention already. She's always a little diva already at 2.5 years old. And it's like, oh God, what do we? And if she ever wants to be in entertainment, we can't be the parents that say, oh, because a lot of parents try to push them away from entertainment. We don't have no excuse. We can't do that because that's where we're in. So, you interview all these artists and actors and all that. You can't say no.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't have a choice now. Hi,
Chelsey James. So, what's your favorite food?
Do what?
What's your favorite food?
My favorite food. Oh boy, that's so hard. I think last time I said mashed potatoes, which is true, but I have like a few favorite foods that go into the rotation. So probably, oh my gosh, this is so hard. Okay, I'm a big Chinese food eater, so like cashew chicken. And actually, cashew chicken originated in Missouri.
Oh, wow.
I'm going to say cashew chicken.
And what's yours?
Mine is pizza.
Oh, that would probably be my third. I absolutely love pizza.
So what's your favorite TV show?
Favorite TV show?
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Well, I'm sound like kind of a nerd here, but I feel like I don't keep up well with all the Netflix binge watching trends. I really like 90s sitcoms, and I'm not gonna lie, my tried and true favorite TV show is still to this day Everybody Loves Raymond.
Oh wow, that's a good show.
It is a good show.
What's yours?
Mine is SpongeBob.
Bob?
SpongeBob.
Yeah, okay. Yes, I'm familiar. That was a favorite of mine growing up.
And what's been pretty cool is on our show, because he watches a lot of the Disney and Nickelodeon shows, we've been able to bring a lot of people from his shows onto our show. And we recently brought one of the people from Disney's Bunked on. We brought 2 people from a Nickelodeon Side Hustle. We got actually a third one from Side Hustle he's excited about on September 11th coming on. Well,
that's awesome.
So he gets to talk to these people that, he kind of sees on TV. So that's been pretty cool.
Yeah.
Is it cool?
Yes. So what's your favorite movie?
Oh, boy. Oh, there's a couple. Again, this is going to sound, ooh. I would say the first Dark Knight, like the Batman series with Christian Bale. I would say the Dark Knight for sure. I love those. What about you?
Mine is the Minions movie.
Oh, I haven't seen that one. I'll have to check that one out.
And look, Emily said, "Hey, Chris, hello, Chris." Yeah, he loves Minions and Despicable Me's and all that. And so, Caitlin, we could be walking in a mall, and if she sees a Minion in a store, we have to go in there.
And she takes her Minion toys everywhere.
Yeah, she's got two of the Minions, and she takes one named Kevin and Bob.
And she takes them everywhere.
And if we forget them, she gets mad.
Yeah, well,
Because like yesterday, we
Forgot Baha,
Yes,
but she
and-
was upset the
Yes.
whole car ride down.
oh man.
Bye. Thanks.
Bye.
Yeah, he loves his little part on the show, and we love having him on. And we are a family affairs show, and you know we won't always have a family oriented person we're interviewing because we're interviewing all different things, but we always want to stay our side family oriented.
Yes, oh, I love that. See, like I said, people want that. They want your real life, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did a good job. Yes, I loved his questions.
And now I'll take my turn. What are some sources of inspiration for you?
So I would say, you know, there's two sides of musical inspiration. There's like actual musicians I get inspiration from, and then there's things in my life that I get inspiration from to write. So musician wise, I always have to say Carrie Underwood, because she was on American Idol when I was like in 6th grade, maybe. And that's the time when you're starting to really get, you know, obsessed with music and pick the kind of music you like. And I seriously, I was so obsessed with her. And all through junior high and high school, I would sing her albums in the car. And honestly, singing her albums in the car in high school by myself, I feel like I didn't know it at the time, but I was training myself how to sing because her songs were really challenging and are still challenging. And
yes,
it was like a game for me to see if I could hit those notes and everything. And I thank you. Yeah. So, and we're actually, you can't see it right now. It's hidden, but we're remodeling our master bedroom. So there is construction items everywhere below the screen that you can't see.
Oh, that's funny.
Anyway, so yeah,
and see, he's talking about this.
Oh yes, the famous StreamYard background.
You see that background?
Oh, wow. Well, yeah, the
similar.
Yes, I love it.
Because StreamYard has that. I'm like, people would think we live there, so that's why I've never really used it. Yeah, I have thought about creating a background that looks like an office or something. Eventually, we'll do something different. I just think, I like the bricks for now.
Yeah, have our signature for now.
Well, my best friend is an interior designer, so I cannot give myself any credit. She helps me with everything in the house, but
awesome.
But yeah, so definitely Carrie as far as like vocal inspiration. That's definitely where I learned how to kind of sing with that power that she does that I like so much. And then, I also grew up listening to Faith Hill, Reba McEntire, Martina McBride. So just all those powerhouse female artists, and a lot of this doesn't come out in my writing, but it does in certain covers of songs that I do. But I love like outlaw kind of bluesy country sounds. Like there is a guy that I'm obsessed with right now. You guys should look him up. His name is Paul Cauthen, Cauthen.
Okay.
He's from Texas, and I swear his voice is a mix between Johnny Cash and Elvis. It is amazing. But that's just kind of, so I get inspiration from like kind of off the wall. You'll know what I mean by off the wall when you listen to his music. Like that, because it's just different, and I love that. But
my friend Joe said he can't even get the hook up with his milk grocer.
For milk crates.
He does his own podcast, and I don't know if it's going to be him or someone on his podcast, but they're wanting to do the milk crate challenge.
Oh gosh, that is scary.
I couldn't even stand on one. I would.
If I was younger, if I was like 30 or below, I think I would try it.
Yeah, he has really good balance. He could probably do it.
I mean, the minute like landing on your back on those plastic milk crates, that would hurt so bad. I know. I have Maybe I'll do that. Maybe that'll be like my way to go viral on TikTok.
There you go. Yes.
If you make it, you probably won't go viral.
Well, that's true. I bet I won't make it though. But so, you know, I also, as far as like my writing goes, I get a lot of, like all of my songs come from some real life experience that I've had. Thank you, Doug. I to this day, I will say, you know, maybe one day I'll get better at writing fictional songs, but for now,
They're about you and your life.
Stick to writing about my life. So every song you hear, I've experienced in some way.
Wow.
And just like this one about my husband, you know, Steady. It's about my life with him. I mean, I'm a pretty open book, so I don't mind sharing, you know, deep details about my life. And a lot of times that does come out in my songs, even if it's like a funnier story.
What's he think of that?
Do what?
What's he think of that? You know, that y'all's life comes out through your music.
Well, I think he feels pretty special that there's a song about him. He really does. Yeah. He likes that. He's really liking his time in the spotlight. But he is like kind of a very private person. He really doesn't even have social media, which is kind of unheard of these days.
Yeah.
You know, he likes to just live his life out on our farm. Very private, just out here with our animals. And I'm clearly kind of the opposite, but you know, so he doesn't like to be the center of attention. Like he would feel so awkward if he had to jump on this interview right now or something, which he's not here, but like he
was like that when we first started the show. We started audio only, and she said, I'll do it with you audio. Don't ever ask me to do video.
Yeah, I said I would never be on video ever.
And I didn't. It was actually her idea around October of last year. She comes to me and she goes, do you think it would help our show if we went video?
Yeah, I'm glad you did. Yeah, I love that. No, I and it is intimidating. I will say, like, I forget sometimes that I am on camera a lot, which took too, but I'm like, oh yeah, I forget that people are uncomfortable doing that. But
yes,
it's true. I mean, just like you said at first, it's like, oh, I don't like this, but yeah. So he totally is like, I don't want to be on stage. I don't want to be on video. So he's in the Steady video actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So go check that out because it's very short snippets, but like he was very like with the editing process, he was like, you know, making sure he's like, I don't want to look stupid. I don't want to look stupid. So that's just not him, but he loves having a song about him for sure.
And like Joe said, he's on camera as much as possible.
And I think Christopher likes being on camera as well.
And Joe also said he would rather be a TV star than an audio star.
There you go.
Seriously, some people are made for that. It's like,
yes.
I wouldn't say that I was ever made to be on camera because I'm definitely like, I really had to learn how to act in front of people and be on camera and what to do. My first music video, I feel was horrible. Like just not that it was horrible, but the feeling inside me, I was horrible.
Yeah, I used to not stand up and say my name even at networking
events. We would go to
events.
networking events.
I would make him stand up and say my name. We would be
sitting there at networking events, and each person would stand up, say their name, and she would look at me and say, "You're saying our name." So we would both stand up.
Name and what we do. I'm not saying anything.
and I'd get up and say, "We are Chris and Sandy Benton with whatever we were with at that time."
Yes.
That's so funny. Well, look at you, how much you've grown.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, work in progress.
And you know, when I first met her, she was really sheltered. You know, she was in Kentucky. I was down here in Georgia, And, we met online back in 02. So I remember first time I met her, she flew down here. Now, she actually flew to see me.
I did.
And she's walking down, and you could see it. She told me what she'd be wearing. So I'm at the airport, and I'm looking down, and I see this person, and she's like walking with her head down.
Yeah, so shy.
She was so shy. So anybody that knows her from back then are just like, wow, because she's definitely come out of her shell.
It's taken a lot, and he's come a long way too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, Chris, you've probably pulled a lot of that out of her because you're quite outgoing. At least that's what it seems like on these interviews.
It's funny, I can be in a crowd and I can kind of close up, but then if I get to talking, look out, I can be there for 3 hours.
Oh, yes.
So it's one of them that once a conversation, that's why the shows work, because once we start, we're in a conversation. So I'm good to go.
Oh, and his first speaking experience.
You're talking about your first on stage. My first speaking thing, I only had 5 minutes, and I was telling my story, and I get up there, and I had my thing written out, and my hands start shaking like this.
Oh, yeah.
And I can't read nothing. And
then it was a group of about
250 people.
200 to 300
So basically, I learned 2 things that night. One, don't ever make your first speech in front of 250 people.
Yeah.
Number 2, don't change your speech the day of. Yeah. I did both. Yeah. And I'm sitting there shaking. And so I was like, okay, no big deal. There's a podium. I'll put the paper there. Well, the podium was like almost waist high. Well, I can't read that. So I'm sitting there like not knowing what to do. I'm sitting there, I'm shaking, I'm sweating. And finally I was like, you know what? I know my story. I'll do it. So I began to speak. So I thought.
Yes.
My mouth opens, nothing comes out.
Oh, no.
It was terrifying for me to watch that. I was like, I wish I could do something.
And all I could think about at that moment was, I remember the old saying that if you fall off of a horse and you don't get back up immediately, you will never ride again. All I could think about is, if I get off this stage right now, I'll probably never speak again. So I'm like fumbling. I'm trying everything. And we're about a minute in now.
Oh, yes.
About a minute.
At least in 1 to 2 minutes. And it's just silence. Everybody's sitting there like,
and so I'm sitting there like, okay, I took a deep breath. I was like, okay, everybody, if you get nothing else out of this, at least you get a good laugh. And the whole crowd just roared. And I was able to calm down. And I nailed the last 4 minutes, 3 minutes, whatever. Yes. I nailed it then. But it was like I had to get through that moment. But you know what? Even though in the moment it was like frightening, like it was like with your heights thing. In that moment, it was frightening. But I now have a story.
Yeah.
Well, and like you said, when you just are honest about it and joke with the audience, I swear it's like a huge icebreaker, and then everyone's comfortable. And then you're just like all friends. I love when you can get to that point of whatever like live you're doing, when you get to the point of where you feel like the ice has been broken and we're all friends here. Like, that's the best. Well,
it is.
I will say I would rather sing in front of 100,000 people than get up and give a speech.
I don't have a problem now. I mean, I can talk. I know that as long as I know the material. I mean, it's my story. I know my story. Yeah. I've done it 8 to 10 times in the last couple of years on stage. So I don't have a problem talking now. And this show has actually enhanced that now too.
Yeah. Well, and I like things like this because I feel like like a conversation, that's
what I want.
Tracking. Mm-hmm. There's some interviews where I'm like, it's so formal that I'm just like, I get so nervous and then I don't know what to say and I sound like a complete idiot, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, I hope you guys can edit this really well.
And what's funny is we're a one-stop show. We don't edit. Well, and I like it that way. But that's what I want. I want it to be a conversation, a raw conversation. If I had to be one of those, like you just said, where there's professional and they ask a question.
Yes.
Let
so
you
formal.
answer. They ask another question. Let you answer. I can't be that. That's not my authentic self. My authentic self is I get excited. I move my hands.
I know.
I talk. I pace. If I was standing right now doing this, I would be pacing back and forth. I'm just active when I talk.
Yeah, I know. I saw this interview with you guys was on my calendar, and I was like, oh, this will be a breeze, because it is. It's like it's a conversation. It's not nerve.
Yeah, we're 55 minutes in.
I know, it's crazy. It feels like we just started.
Okay, and what would you like your legacy to be as an artist? What would you like to be most known and remembered for?
Well, golly, good question. I feel like I have multiple answers for that, but my biggest thing is, and I think it comes from me like being turned off by artists who I feel like are just constantly putting on a show. I don't tend to have a lot of people in my life that are like that and gravitate towards people like that. It's not something I prefer. So I think for me, like my biggest goal is in everything I do, I want to be genuine. I want people to feel like through my music and through these interviews and through videos, like they really know me as a person. Like I'm not trying to put on this act of like, oh, I'm a big star, watch me. Like
Exactly. Right.
So I just want people to, it's like, I feel like Reba McEntire is kind of like that. Like she's
and
you
get what you see.
Yes,
exactly. Like they're not hiding anything, and that's what people love about them. And it's like I want to be someone who is approachable and relatable, like I think it's very important that people share their stories, like the good and the bad, because no matter who you are, you've made mistakes, you've gone through. Reba Show is one of my favorites. You've gone through hard times, like I said, you've made bad decisions. Like we've all been there.
Yep.
We can all help each other. So that's like my biggest thing. And
that's why I have people share the other side of music and entertainment, because I think that sometimes people gloss over that and they dive into something that they really don't realize it's going to take way more work than they ever imagined.
Yeah. And I think a huge thing to me that I try to advocate for anytime I can is, I think it's very important life is too short to not do what you love. And I feel like I know a lot of people in my life who, like we talked about before, they may have a great job, but it's not their passion. It's not what they love to do. And I just, I can't imagine. Life goes so fast. And at the end of your life, you thinking, I mean, wow, look what I could have done. Or, it's like I spent all of my time working to live or whatever.
Don't want a life full of regrets, because you'll never really regret things you've tried, but you'll always regret things that you should have done.
Exactly. And I personally think you can make a career out of anything. I truly believe, and I strongly believe, everyone was put on this earth with some kind of special ability that nobody else has. And like we all might have similar ability, but we don't all do it the same. A bunch of people have musical ability, but none of
how many people do a show with their spouse?
Yeah, exactly.
So we found a way to be unique, to do something that great.
Yeah, and everyone has something like that. And I think you can make a career out of whatever that ability is that you were meant to do. You can make a career off of it. You can make money off of it. It's like, I mean, I hate talking about the money side, but we all know we have to have money to live.
It takes you guys to live.
It does.
Yeah. So I just truly think that, find what that is, figure out what that is, and then
run.
do that, because you'd be surprised at how many people want whatever service you're offering, or, like, for example, me, like oh my gosh, I'm terrible at a lot of things that I would totally pay someone else to do. We all have different strengths for a reason. I just really always try to advocate, like, don't waste time doing what you don't want to do.
And if talking about don't waste time, this last year has shown that, so many people have passed away that we know.
Oh yes, and even people we've interviewed.
Even people we've interviewed. In fact, we were one of, I don't know if we were the last, we may have been the last interview of Ed Asner.
Yes.
Okay.
But we interviewed him back in November
of last year.
And he passed away a few days ago. And we were at least one of the last ones. But again, you watch so many people pass away, and you're like you said, life is too short to live a miserable life. Go pursue that passion that you want. Even if I would rather fail at attempting something great than succeed at nothing.
Yeah, and you really only completely fail after you fail and then give up. Like, if you can fail so many times, and as long as you keep going, you're really not failing. But I don't tell this story a lot, but I feel like this interview is a good place for it. But my song Steady, this is partially where that inspiration came from. A few years ago, I had just gotten out of college. I was in a bad relationship, or a relationship that wasn't good for me, at least.
Yeah.
And I just, I wasn't sure where my life was exactly going. I was just kind of realizing, like, I should do this for a career. Like, I was trying to switch gears and try to flip my brain into thinking, okay, this is what I'm going to pursue. It was just a very confusing time. And my aunt passed away in a car accident, a horrible car accident.
Sorry to hear that.
And thank you. It was so eye-opening, because she was so healthy and just like the last person you would think would die. I mean, I don't know. And, my family's all super close. And I remember after the funeral, we were all at their house, and I was looking around and, saw my parents and saw my other aunts and uncles with their spouses. And just, for one, I realized, wow, life is short, because she's gone forever. Like, I mean, it's just like, how did that happen? And then two, I thought, and this is, I base my relationship now off this, and kind of the inspiration for Steady, like, the person I was with in this relationship, it's like, I looked around and thought, okay, at the end of days, when all of my friends and family, have gone and passed, and it's just me and this other person, my partner, whoever this is, it's like, is that person I'm with enough? Because when you're young, you have your friends and family around you. You can kind of get blinded by things, and you have all of this other support. And I thought, oh my gosh, when all those people are gone, is the person I'm with, that's the only person I have? That is not what I want. And I ended that relationship with music, and I pursued music, and here I am. And so that was kind of the standard I went by. What?
And the rest is history.
Yeah. And honestly, that's the standard I went by with everything. It's like any new person I went on a date with or whatever, I'm like, okay, if this was the only person left on earth, are they enough? And obviously I found that person.
And we can say the same thing.
We can.
Again, October will be 19 years married. So
yes.
Oh, I got married in October too.
Yours was October 5th.
October 5th.
Okay, mine's the 19th, but this will be 2 years for us.
Oh, wow.
Well, congratulations, all of us.
Yes.
Thank you. You too.
So as we come to a close here, let's say you had a friend of yours and they were great and they feel called to music. What advice would you give that person to kind of help guide them the next couple of years?
Oh my. Go with your gut. That's number one.
Love
Go
that
with
one.
your gut, because there's a lot of people in the music industry who, they'll see and Valentine's Day. So you can, it's like two birds with one stone.
Yes, same up.
So I would say go with your gut, because there's people in the music industry who will see you as an opportunity to move themselves forward or make money off of you. And their intention is not necessarily to help you succeed.
Yeah.
And so your gut is usually right about those people. So listen to it and don't waste time on people like that. There's a lot of people who want to try to control your every move, and
especially labels.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you don't need that. You don't need to do that. You if it's not you, then it's not right. So that's a huge one for me. But another one is, and I think this is true for so many industries, it's the same in the music industry. Network.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
That's so true. It's like, I remember the old saying, it's not who you know. I mean, it's not what you know, it's who you know. But I like to go deeper than that. It's not even who you know, it's who knows you. Because you can know a bunch of people. That don't mean they know who you are.
Yeah. So meet as many people as you can in the industry. And another thing I would say is, don't make it such a competition with people. We're all
in this together.
Yeah, we're all in this together. There's enough room for everyone. It's not like, there can only be 10 successful musicians this year. I mean, that's not even a thing. So it's like,
on radio, that's about right. But outside of radio.
Yeah, but radio's about to.
That's a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. So, traditional radio anyway, but it's like, that's not even a thing now. And you'll get so much farther by helping other people succeed too. And you can learn so much from other people. But so those, I'd say, were my biggest things. As far as like practical, just musical things, like you can sing all you want all day, but to be successful, you need your own songs that stand out. So spend the time writing music and not just focusing on the social media and the playing the shows. If you don't have music, you're not going to have shows to play, or you're not going to have music to play at the shows. So spend a lot of your time writing. That's where your success is going to come
like
from.
Joe said, make your own way, because sometimes people don't know what they don't know yet.
Yes, you said that perfectly. No, it's just like I was saying about this artist, Paul Cawthon. He's doing something that no one's ever done before. And people are loving it.
And people love it because it's different. People don't want to hear what they hear over and over and over and over on the radio. You know, it's like they want something new and fresh and unique and genuine. So, yeah, that's my advice.
Perfect. Love that. You know, and we could go on and on and on. I could go for hours.
Oh, yes.
You know, we are over an hour. So if you want to tell everybody how they can reach out to you through social media and all that, it'd be great.
Yes. So you can find me on Facebook and Instagram at Chelsey James Music. Chelsey is spelled Chelsey, not with an A. Thanks, Mom and Dad, for that spelling. SEY, and James, just like the male name James Music. And I think on Twitter, I'm Chelsey J Music. I just recently got Twitter, so I don't have too much on there yet. But just Google Chelsey James Music and you can find me just about anywhere. But yeah, go check me out because I just put out music and I'm about to put out even more. So
awesome.
And
yes, and he spelled it exactly right. Paul Cawthon. Yep.
Awesome.
Awesome. And we really enjoyed having you on the show today. And we look forward to having you back a third time.
We do.
Yes, I can't wait to come back. This is one of my favorite interviews to do. I love you guys. So
yeah, we love you too. So keep up the great work, and we'll see you again.
Thank you guys.
Bye.
Bye.